Hello and welcome to Safe and Sustainable Series. This is Dave Walls with ICC Sustainability Programs, and with me again today I have Greg Johnson coming to you from the ICC Annual Conference in Columbus, Ohio. And last time we did a video, I talked to you, Greg. We talked about green building and long-term life safety issues. With that, what do you see in other impacts, other areas that green building may have issues related to our long-term life safety issues?
Well, that's a good question, Dave. And there are a lot of issues that are related to life safety and green building. For example, right now, the world is seeing an explosion in tick-borne illnesses. Well, that's because we're getting ticks in places where we did not have them before. And that's because we've gotten warmer than we were before. So when you talk about green building practices like cool roofs, minimizing hardscapes, being smart about energy, about doing what we can to cool our earth, we're addressing vectors like ticks and vectors like mosquitoes, that kind of thing. When you talk about, right now the West is on fire. And we've had a number of years where western forests have burned, much of that due to insect infestations that we wouldn't have gotten before. Much of it also due to excessive heat that has dried the forests. We've got a lot of standing dead wood that is directly attributable to insect invasions that are made possible by a warmer climate. If we can cool our world, we can protect our world, and that's kind of what green building's about.
And so for a jurisdiction that has particular goals, I mean, what can they do? What would you recommend that they do to kind of help in this area?
Well, you know, there's an education component relative to the citizens of your community, but that's true any time that you're engaged in administering code. People are reasonable. People will do the right thing if they're given the facts and the full set of information. So I think what you do is you educate your community, determine your community's appetite for any given green building practice. Some things aren't going to be immediately maybe palatable to the community, but there are things you can do. Look to adopt a code and then amend it to make it fit your community. And as people become more and more comfortable with green building, and as you explain it to the citizens of your community, the people who live and work and play there, they'll become not just, I believe, accepting of it, but folks are smart. They see the world, yes. They see what's happening.
That's right.
And we're going to get to a place where more people do not demand the kind of protection that could be offered through green building codes. Just as today, most people they expect their buildings to perform in a way that protects their life and safety.
Very good. Now, you've said in your explanation that you believe most people will be accepting if they really understand the facts. And why do you feel that way?
Well, Dave, I was a building inspector for the city of St. Paul, Minnesota, for almost 17 years. And I mean, I know from experience that if you can educate people to the intent of the code, and I'm talking about any code, including green building codes, if they understand the intent and why the requirements in place, people are pretty reasonable. They're usually willing to comply. It's not 100%, but that's okay. That's the spice of life.
Right. I agree with you, and that's very good. And coming from your background experience of dealing with these types of issues and your constituents in your jurisdiction, it's a good point. So
right, and you know, some of the green building things really are pretty easy. It's pretty easy to put on a light-colored roof.
Yep.
That's the kind of thing that if you explain to the person who wanted the dark-colored roof, well, here's why we do the light-colored roof, I don't see a lot of pushback.
Yeah, it not only benefits them, as you've said, it also benefits our environment. So, very good. Well, Greg, thank you again for being with us, and I was glad I was able to corral you again to further talk about this issue. And this is Dave Walls coming to you again from Columbus, Ohio, and signing off, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.